Hello, web creators. Welcome to this webinar. This webinar will be about design. We have, this is the second session of a masterclass series of 3. And if you missed the first one, please refer to the description where we've left a link for you so you can watch it again. And this time, we will continue with our project to bring your dream online. Last time, we spoke about content structure. This time, we will be discussing strategic design decisions. And for that, we have a true expert with us. She has 20 years plus experience from UX and UI design, has worked with major brands, and knows everything and then some about designing. You are in good hands, and it is my pleasure to hand over to Piccia Neri.
Hello. Hello. Good morning to everyone, wherever you are. Thank you so much, Lisa, for the wonderful introduction. I hope certainly will do my best to deserve all the nice things that you said about me. So thanks. Yes, thank you for reminding everyone what we did last time, which is we started from content. We really had a good look at that because from content, everything comes. The strategy, the design decisions, absolutely everything. This time, we will still start from there because that's how we build the design, like I said. So we can now bring up the content, the questionnaire that we looked at, that we created last time. And just to remind everyone, here we are. Sorry, I've just got too many windows here. Here we are. So the website that we're building in these sessions is a website that will be called Like a Pink Martini. And it's Maria Luisa's project. She's a marketing specialist and a fashion enthusiast who set up a Vinted profile where to sell her things. So now that we've found out all of this, this is our foundation to build everything else. What do we start from when we go and build a website? One of the many things that we said last time is that we should never succumb to the temptation to go straight into WordPress and start building our site from there before having it really clear what exactly it is that we're building. And by the way, I'm taking the opportunity here to remind everyone to please let us know what it is that you're building so that we can know more about it and maybe answer any questions that you might have, because we will be keeping an eye on the comments, won't we, Lisa?
We will. So please ask us anything at any time. Feel free to join the chat, join the conversation, ask your questions. This is an excellent time to ask Piccia everything. And Piccia mentioned before that today is also Global Accessibility Awareness Day. So any accessibility questions, please ask them, because Piccia really knows a thing or two about accessibility.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa, for the reminder. It's really important. And any advice that I give, be it content, be it design, be it anything, is always taking accessibility into consideration. So there's also that. And having said that, going back to our content, let's have a look at what we like, a quick reminder of what we did. We looked at Maria Luisa's business, the overview, what she does and how she started it. And we found out quite a few interesting things. Her mission statement, for instance, the values of the project, the reasons why she's setting up this website, which is to raise awareness for people to find out about her business and to drive more people to her Vinted profile. We also said, I'm sure, Lisa, that you remember, that it's important to have a website even though you're selling on Vinted, because your website is the only thing that you properly own online. Any other profile could be taken down. It's not yours. You're only borrowing space, not even renting it, really. So having your own website is super important. That's why we're doing it. So knowing all these things really helps us now, because when we go and structure the content on our website, we know already a lot of things. So we're going to carry on here and we're going to start our structure in a Google Doc. And I'm sure that you might ask, why in a Google Doc? We're going to design it. So this is not a visual tool, but I can tell you now why it's incredibly helpful to get started from a Google Doc. Some people even use Excel docs to build their content structure, but personally I prefer Google Docs, and I'll explain why. So,
Right. We have a question from Hannah here.
yes.
Hannah, welcome back. We're so happy to see you. By the way, are
Yes.
there any more of you who were here last time? Just give us a shout out in the chat. We are really, really happy to see you again. But to the question, last time you told us where to find the questionnaire example. Can you remind me? Piccia, do you have the questionnaire?
Yeah, of course. I thought that we'd already
Oh,
sent the link, but shall I just do it now?
yeah,
Shall I put
we
the
just,
link in the...
here we have it. Hannah, can
Great.
you please send us a private message on our Instagram profile at One.com Global, and we will send it to you.
Great. Okay, yeah. Brilliant. So you will have it. And then I want to talk now about what a website is made of. We already talked about it last time. We talked about how the first thing when you build a website, the basis of the structure is your HTML structure. When we talk about text, the HTML structure means clearly delineating your text in headings and paragraphs. Why is that important? Well, it's extremely important, for instance, for a screen reader, talking about accessibility, because a screen reader will, that when it lands, someone who at that moment can't see, it doesn't even have to be a blind person, because maybe you're doing something else and you can't quite use your eyes because you're holding a baby in your arms. So you use something that reads you a sight instead of seeing it with your eyes. So the headings will are like a content list, like a table of contents of your website. Not only that, but using proper heading structure will really help you build the content out in a logical manner, in a logical and meaningful manner, and it will help your SEO as well. I'm just going to give you a quick idea of how that works, because not everybody may know that. So when we talk about headings, first of all, there are 6 levels of headings from H1 to H6. H1, there can only be one because it's the page title. It's the main topic, the big umbrella under which all of your content sits. So, for instance, in our case, it makes sense. It would be something along the lines of vintage fashion. Okay. So there is a lot to say about vintage fashion. So with the following headings, we can narrow it down. The next one is H2, and it's another big subject, but not as big as the page title. So it could be, for instance, why choose vintage fashion? There is so much different fashion to available to us today. So why would you choose vintage? Your H2 is this big generic, and then you can with your H3 you can pick aspects of that topic. So for instance, when you talk about why choosing vintage fashion, you can say, well, vintage fashion, you should choose it because it's sustainable. Or you could also say under the same umbrella, vintage fashion is cheaper, which is a really good reason. Within vintage fashion is cheaper, you can identify another subtopic, which would be your H4, which could be where to get cheap secondhand designer clothes. Then you could have another H3 still beneath the why choose the vintage fashion umbrella. You could say choose it because vintage fashion makes you unique. And so another H4, how does it make you unique? Well, your H4 could be how to win at fashion by pair vintage clothes with new items. Now, I hope that you start seeing the pattern here. Isn't it easier to organize your thoughts like this rather than sit down and just churn content out without structuring it properly? Wouldn't you say, Lisa, as a marketing expert?
Totally. Here you've saved a lot of time, and half of the work is already done. Once you
Ex-
have this in place, it's only styling. The design is
Exactly.
something you ultimately see, but this is the foundation.
Exactly.
And
And it makes it so much easier to then flesh things out and say a little bit more about the topics. And it just is, I find it really, really helpful. Yeah. And then, of course, there's also H5 and H6, which have their place. I think it's less likely that you're gonna narrow it down so much. But I think that normally you have H2, H3, H4. That's as deep as I go when I create content. So that's me. Now, why then use a Google Doc? Because I'll show you the advantage of Google Docs. So let's say for like a pink martini, a vintage fashion website. Let's say that we said in this example here, we said vintage fashion. I think that from all that we know about Maria Luisa's ethos and worldview, I think that we should really say quality vintage fashion. Would you agree? Wouldn't you agree, Lisa? The quality aspect is really important to her.
I would definitely agree. Her site is all about curated, hand-picked treasures. So this is
Exactly.
a very big part of who she is.
Exactly. So we can start by saying, so that's our heading one. Let's remember that also, let's remind ourselves that what we're doing here is we have to, this is the first thing that people see when they land on your site. So we must tell them at a glance what the website is about. They have to remain in no doubt at all whatsoever why they are here and what this website is going to give them, because they say 5 seconds, that you have 5 seconds to leave an impression. Online it's less than that. I think that the Google stats are like ridiculously fast. It's less than 2 seconds, something like that. So quality vintage fashion, boom, that's what we're here for. And then the second thing is we a sub paragraph below that says a little bit more. In the case of of Maria Luisa, rather, Lisa, you just said it perfectly. It's all about the fashion treasures that she finds from around the world. So one possible paragraph could be this. Obviously, we can always change and make better and whatever, but we're just fleshing out the content here. So discover the fashion treasures from past decades, from flea markets and vintage shops around the world. Are we all right here? Do we agree that's kind of what it's about?
Totally. And
Great.
here's also a great opportunity to do some keyword research and see if there is good search intent behind the terms that you're using, because this is a way to get more people who are ready to buy to your website.
Thank you so much for saying this. This is so important, and you shouldn't miss out on your opportunity to be found. That's why Maria Luisa has this website, really. So, and I'm not an SEO expert, but I can tell you that exactly what Lisa said. You said it so well, Lisa. I can't really improve on that. So that's also what we're doing here. We're doing that. The other thing that I always recommend that you have on your site is a call to action here. Just below your H1 and your opening paragraph, have a call to action. Give your visitor something to do. The point here is that we don't quite know yet. We're still in the building phases, so we're not going to put it there right now, but it could be go check out my favorite garments, because that will bring people to the Vinted profile. We don't know yet. It's very early on. Maybe Maria Luisa will have a blog later on and she'd rather send people there. But we are building, also reminding you that we're building a one-pager website, not a lots of pages website. So now what do we need? We need a heading 2 to go forward in the page structure. And I think that here the important thing is to explain who Maria Luisa is, because after all, this is a personal website, and what her mission is, because this is what differentiates her. This is what makes this site interesting and special. It's her unique take on everything. So the next heading 2 could be something like my mission. Would you agree, Lisa? Does that
I
sound
totally agree.
okay to you? Yeah,
Sounds good.
great. So my mission, and then below, we can just use the copy that we had further up in the questionnaire. We can sort of piece together a little bit of a very short profile to put under my mission, so that people going down the page understand a little bit more of why they're here. So we can put a paragraph under the heading 2 that explains who she is, and maybe add something here, because people may say, yeah, okay, so you do this, and so what? So say something along the lines of, I'm here to show you how I do it and why. Because last time we were also saying how a content opportunity might be that Lisa explains to others how she does it, so they can get tips from her, or decide that they can't be bothered to do it and actually buy from her shop. So we can create opportunities like this. So now what do we do? Now we've said my mission and we've given a little bit of an intro. Now we have to go deeper into the mission and explain what the aspects of the mission are. Now, again, further up in the questionnaire, we did talk about the mission statement and the values of the project, which makes our job so easy now. We don't have to struggle to decide on that. So what was the first thing? The first thing was, part of the mission was sustainability. So here we can write a paragraph on sustainability. We're not doing the whole thing now because we've only got an hour, so we couldn't do that. But can you see how much easier it would be now? So, and I don't know whether you see what's happening here on the left. We have in the outline here. So this is about, it might be a bit confusing because it's about the questionnaire that we had done before. We could actually build a separate document for this, which I'm going to do very quickly now, because Google Docs makes it very easy, so we don't get confused with the previous content which we're using. So here it is. Google Docs gives you an outline on the left, which at the end is really going to give you your page structure. You already have it there. It's not visual in a way, but it is definitely like the skeleton of your page. Would you agree, Lisa? I find it so useful.
It is super useful, and I cannot say this enough. The foundation is everything. It might seem fundamental and really basic at this stage. Oh, are we going to talk about nothing but this for 2 hours? Yes, because this is the most important part. Styling
Absolutely.
and design elements is just that, but the foundation is key. Imagine yourself cooking. There is a dish that is popular and can be made in 2 ways, right? You can make it in 20 minutes, or you can make it the way your grandmother used to in 2 hours. You will taste the difference. Your website visitors will know the difference if you spend the time actually planning your content, or if you just slap it on a canvas.
I could not agree more. And the positive side effects are so many. There's so much collateral advantages that come from doing this. Sorry. I don't know what happened there. Apologies. So back to the mission. Another really important part of Maria Luisa's mission is it's akin to sustainability, but it's a little bit different, and it was circular economy. Okay, so the other part of the mission is circular economy. So we've got another heading 3, because we started with heading 1, then heading 2, which is really easy to do in a Google Doc. You highlight something and you give it the corresponding heading. So it's which it just changed the style, but anyway, it doesn't matter because the structure hasn't changed. See how style here, we're not concerned with style at all. So circular economy, and here you can mark it that you need to write a paragraph on circular economy. And then same thing. The other thing was quality and price, because I'm really sorry, I'm going to mute myself just a second and have another sip of water. Apologies. The joys of live. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're back. Quality and price, really important to Louisa, because one of the points is that if you buy vintage fashion, that means that you're able to buy high quality garments at a fraction of the price. So quality and price, and then marking again how we should write a paragraph about that. So here. Now, we can have another heading too, that we can identify another big topic that I think in our case could be, what's the other really important thing that we're here for? Yes, we need to learn about the mission, but then the clothes really matter. So I think that another important heading too could be my favorite pieces. This, we also, just to remind our friends in the audience, we saw this because we looked at a competitor last time, and that's how they did it. And it's one of the things that we liked from their website. It was that they had this. They had their favorite garments, and we thought that really worked. So here you go, your favorite pieces, which is another heading 2, and another heading 2 under which you can have garment 1, garment 2, and garment 3 as headings 3. Now, what's the other thing that we talked about that we thought could be really the basis for future content, as well as important for people to know? One of the reasons why people are here is obviously where to buy my clothes, because it's like, okay, great, brilliant, but what if I want to buy them? So that's another heading 2 that we can use, where to buy my clothes. And then here is the place where to put the Vinted Gallery, of course. So we can put it here, Vinted Gallery, and then something else that will probably be the title of the blog or something like that, or the main topic of the blog is inspiration and tips. Does it look okay to you, Lisa, from a marketing and SEO point of view?
It looks great because she gets an opportunity to highlight her favorite garments, her favorite pieces that really signify who she is as a stylist, and show off her best work. And this could be applied to other use cases if you are particularly proud of something you do in your profession. If you are a coach of some sorts, what are you best at when you coach your clients? What are you most proud of? This is an excellent way to show off your specialty. And of course, probably the most important part is where to actually act on the desires that are created in the previous section.
Absolutely. You've said it really well. And I think that another interesting thing is, if you look at this content that we've got outlined here, it is about Maria Luisa, but it's also aimed always at helping her ideal client. The ideal client exercise, Lisa, I'm sure you've got that a lot in marketing, and it's a sweet spot with UX because we do it a lot as well. But that's what we're aiming at. Our main mission is to help people out, help those people who love quality vintage fashion in every possible way, both with where they can buy great fashion, but also how and helping them out in every possible way. And the great thing is that by helping them, we also help the business, because unless the business makes money, nobody, it ceases to exist. I mean, I know that right now that's not our main focus because we're just building this, but ultimately it is because we want for more people to buy from the Vintage Gallery. So all of this, these are all the things that you have to bear in mind when you build your site. So if you'd gone straight into WordPress and picked a theme and started shoving stuff in there, you would never have been able to focus on all this. And so I hope that this shows that your task is now way easier for that. So in order to make the most of the time at our disposal, let's move into that, because now exciting times are coming. We can move into actual visual structure. Hooray! I bet everyone's happy to see that. But are we moving into design yet? Like as in colors and typefaces and all of that? Are we? Sorry, no, we're not quite. Because, okay, we're very happy that we've got a content structure that already gives us, to me, this is already visual because I can see that it's a skeleton. I can see it clearly in the Google Doc. So to me, it's kind of already visual. But what we do now is we do not jump straight into design. What we do first is we do what are called technically wireframes. Now, wireframes are simply, you can actually do a wireframe on a piece of paper, on the back of a napkin, wherever you want. The thing is that, of course, if it's a website, it's easier if it's you use an online tool, because then you have it, you can share it, you can go back to it, obviously. There are so many tools that you can use. There are pro tools, and there are also a lot of free tools that you could also use Google Slides. But the one that I think is great for everyone really is Canva. I have a lot of clients that use it. I normally use other stuff, but it's because I do pro stuff. But when I researched Canva and how it does wireframes, I'm like, oh my God, this is great. So I'd like to know, because it's also completely free. You can use it completely free and never need to pay if you want. So if anyone, I'd love to know if any of you watching actually use Canva and how you find it. It also has a website builder thing that I've never used, but I find it so easy to use and so useful. So I'm going to pull it in now, and I'll show you where you can start from and how it works. So here you are. I'm already in the website section that you can go to from home. So the way you do it is you just click on create a Canva website. See how clear they make their call to action. Talking about accessibility, this unmovable graphic below is not accessible. Never do that. If you have something that moves, it's got to be stoppable. Otherwise, it's not accessible. So I'm going to click on create a Canva website. And as you can see here, I have loads of templates. Are we going to look at them now? No, because we're going to get so confused. We're going to get so excited about all the beautiful graphics, and we're going to forget what we're here for, which is to organize our contents visually, because we've structured them and now we need to organize them visually. So the way that what I would call wireframes, here they call layouts. And what is a wireframe? It's just putting your content on the page without worrying about any of the style yet. Okay, you just don't even think about it. So you can see how many different options you have. It's absolutely great. So for our first section, which technically is called above the fold, which is the thing that people see as the first landing, the sort of upper part of your website. And for those who don't know, it's called above the fold. Do you know why, Lisa? You probably do. Do you know why it's called above the fold?
I will be honest and say I don't. I just know what it means.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. I'm sure you'll find it very interesting. Above the fold, you know, a newspaper in a printed newspaper in a newsagent,
Oh.
they sell it folded, and you only see
Oh,
the top bit. And that's
right.
what above the fold means. And the great thing is that the web, really, the HTML structure is pretty much based on a lot of newspaper print terms, headings, asides, so many things come from there. And I used to do that. So in a way, I found myself very familiar with HTML terms, because if you worked for a magazine or a newspaper, it all makes complete sense. And that's what the web started as, didn't it? It just started as sharing information. So you can see here how many different options you have. Now, I remember that Louisa has a vertical image of herself. So based on the content that we've got, this might make sense. Is a layout like this might make sense. You may decide not to, because you may decide that she doesn't want it to be about her, and she might want to put an image of a piece of clothing here. So, or she could decide that she wants a full image, and I can add one as a new page. See here, and you can decide. I quite like this because it's very clear. I do not like text on images, because unless you give it a colored background that makes sure that the text is completely legible. So many people shove text on images without thinking that you might be making the text illegible. That's another accessibility issue. So be very careful when you put text on images. This is way safer and clearer, because ultimately, what do you want? You want your image to be appreciated, and you want your text to be read. If you put text on an image, you might be missing out on both things. Is it about the text or is it about the image? So I am actually probably I'm gonna delete this. See how easy it is? I'm literally just clicking on things. It makes it so clear now to delete the page. So I think I like this section. Going back to our structure here, what do I have next? I have in my mission a section. So headings 2 are really, you can see them as your different sections. And isn't it great? Now I've got 3 sections. My mission, my favorite pieces of where to buy my clothes. It helps me make layout choices immensely. So what I'm going to look for here, is this one, is maybe a section already built where I have a heading and 3 sections. And look at that, I've got so many here. Isn't it great? So maybe I want to choose this as a new page. So I could do it here. I could give it a background image to the sustainability, to all the various things that we have in my mission, and have them here. Or I could not. I could decide that I want text there, or I want I want just a small image with text below. So you can see here how this really helps. What we're not gonna do all of it now, obviously, but what I recommend that you do is that before you make a decision, you start putting your actual content in here. And once you do that, you're pretty much going to decide on a layout as well. As you can see, content first, always, always, always. Would you agree, Lisa? I think it changes everything, doesn't it?
I totally agree. And here you really see, you really get the opportunity to adapt your design to your content and not the other way around. Because picking a style template that you really like, this is also the danger of looking at finished templates on the second tab that we decided to not use in this exercise. Because you fall in love with their end result and you realize way too late that the content that you have does not match and cannot be
Absolutely.
adapted to that. And here, the sustainability section is an excellent trade-off. So what kind of images do we want to display here? Because the bigger images, tell me, please let me know if you disagree here, but the bigger images, to me, sound like a better idea if I really want to showcase the images. Whereas if the focus in on the thoughts around whatever I choose to amplify with images, in that case, I would opt for the smaller ones because the focus would be on the text.
That is such a good point. And I think that actually in this case, probably Maria Luisa should go for the small images or even no images at all, because her website, these are only aspects of her mission. It's not what the website is about. Let's not forget also there's another sustainability really has a lot in common with accessibility. So web sustainability, I mean, that could be it's a whole other topic, but web sustainability means that we need to use fewer web resources because it takes a big toll on the environment as well. So if you
And on
can
your
opt
performance.
and on your performance, exactly, so on your SEO and on your accessibility, because if a website is heavier, it's also less accessible because it needs not everyone has super fast broadband. And let's not forget that super fast broadband and lots of data mean so much energy needed. So I am starting to get super interested in the big overlap that there is with between accessibility and sustainability. And it's fascinating, and it's going to change your decisions. And ultimately, you're going to be saving money, you're going to be faster, you're going to be straight to the point. There's no need for anything flashy. So here, I think that this is what Louisa should go for. And without going any further into this, but I also want to confirm what you were saying earlier about content, Lisa. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that I am a designer through and through. And I used to be a designer that only cared about what it looks like. I mean, you change very soon, when you start learning what design really is about as you continue in your profession. But I can tell you that I am a much better designer because I put content first. Design, aesthetic decision should never come first because they're invariably only based on personal preference. And your site is not about your personal preference. It's about what is more useful. So don't ever do that. And I'm saying it as a designer who I do care about aesthetics. I really do. I think they're important, but they're not more important. They need to play together with content. So I completely agree with everything that you said. Now,
There is,
having said this, yes, sorry.
no, I just want to make a real life reference to this. It's for those of you who are into fashion, for example, you could wear really elaborate pieces that don't fit you, and the whole idea is kind of lost immediately. Or you could wear clothes that complement you and your style and the occasion and just work with you and look so much better. And this is the same.
Exactly. It's a very, very good comparison. So my recommendation is to use this or any other tool that you may want to use. I'm going to delete this one just to show you again how easy it is to do that, because we don't think that that's appropriate for our case. Use this. You can see how easy it is to flesh out all the sections because we've got them here. So you can just use any of these layouts and then start putting the content in here and decide on what you need based on the content. Finally, we're going to get into the fun stuff. We're ready. I feel that we are ready. What's the fun stuff? To me, the fun stuff is color and typography. So we can go into that. And what's the first thing that we do when we do that is we look at other things that we like. We find inspiration. So that's what I did. I asked Maria Luisa to show me some websites that she liked that didn't really need even to be about fashion. It's just to understand. I think I understand. We understand already a little bit of her design style because she's told us a lot about herself. But seeing actually what she likes, I thought would have been really interesting. So she's given a few examples. This is another fashion store that she likes. Let me get my note out because she told me why she likes this one. I think we can find. You'll see how there are a lot of overlaps with the websites that she gave me as her favorites. So she really likes the structure here on this website. So let's see the structure. There's one big image and then a few images of various things. So she likes the clarity of the structure, I think. Mentioning accessibility, you know that I'm going to get out my little tool that gives us this is only detects about 30% of accessibility issues. and I knew already there would be contrast errors. First of all, this typeface is so tiny, and the color is and very thin, because the contrast is not just color contrast, it's also shape contrast, and I can barely see this. Why would you create a menu that people can't see? So we've got 5 errors and 33 contrast errors. What I'm going to look at now is the structure. See how wrong the structure is here. It starts from it. So they've styled things with headings, which you should never do. Your headings are not to style stuff. You can use classes, you can use other things to style your content. Headings are not for styling, but you've used them from styling. And this website has no proper structure. There's this H1. I don't know why it's below, but this makes sense as an H1. Tienda, it means um,
Clothing
women's
store
clothes
for
store.
women.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So that makes sense, but this is clearly the footer. So that's weird. So the H1 is in the footer. Someone who uses structure to navigate a site will be like, what? Where am I? It says casual clothing collection. It makes no sense. So I just want to show you the difference that it makes. There are 2 navigations. It's very, very strange and quite hard. Anyway, back to the reason why we're here, which is to look at the style that Maria Luisa likes, and it's white, very simple, very clear structure with nice big images. Now another one is this sorry, I am getting language contamination. It's no, it's not
A pastry
not
shop?
pastry. It's a pastry shop. There's another word, and I can't think of it. So if anyone can help, help!
Bakery?
I speak 3 languages every day, and I get quite confused. So again, here in our conversation in Spanish last week, we commented. I was telling you about the risk of putting text on images. I think this is exactly what I mean. When this calidad artesanal means handmade, homemade quality, basically, or craft quality, something like that. But I can barely read it. First of all, I can barely read it because of the typeface that they've chosen, but also because it's on top of an image. What's the point? I can't really read it, and the image is nice, but it's not essential. So I would really recommend that you don't do that. But as you can
Also,
see, yes,
if I may interject, I would say that
yes,
if your goal here is to present and highlight an image, why distort it with text? Because here, with the cinnamon colored typeface on a cinnamon stick, that distorts the image. The image itself is no longer what it used to be. It does not fill its original purpose. So you either choose a different image or you skip the text.
I couldn't agree more. That's exactly what it's about. Make a decision. Decide. That's the thing. What is more important to you? And then here also, I'm just going to very quickly comment. This is completely wrong with the cookies notice. It's not like accept, take it or leave it. This is illegal. You need to give an option to reject cookies, and it has to be as easy. When they say manage your options, no, that's wrong. It has to be the same number of steps to refuse or to accept. So bear that in mind. But you see, there's so much to say about web design, isn't there, Lisa? We could,
Oh yeah, the cookies thing, it's a
oh,
rabbit hole in itself. But
yeah,
when you do choose
exactly.
a cookie tool, because you should not build that yourself, you should use a proper tool for this.
Yes.
Please make sure that whoever visits your site can revoke their consent at any time. So the panel should also be always accessible to reopen and revoke your consent. They should also know which
Yes.
types of cookies and be able to opt in or opt out of different types of cookies at any time during their session. It's
Please
deeper than
listen
that,
to this.
but this should have you covered.
I mean, you could do a series of webinars just on that. But listen to Lisa, because she has got so much knowledge and wisdom. It's incredible. Now, I want to go quite quickly because we have quite a few things left to say yet. I think that this third website really gives us a very good idea of what Maria Luisa likes. I mean, it's pretty much, a style is emerging. What came from this website specifically is that she likes this pink color, pink martini, of course, and it's sort of quite vintagey color, and that's what she likes. So I am now going to, we've got that pink, and I have a note of that. And where is my note? I mean, you can always find it, but I will find it in a second. Just give me a second. Here we are. I have it. Now, this is the fun bit when you start thinking about your typography and your colors, but it's completely a minefield because that lovely pink color is giving us 56 contrast errors. And I'll show you why. So I have, so let me go to Coolers, for instance. Coolers is a great color tool that you can use for free. I sometimes buy a subscription because I need it, but generally speaking, you can totally use it for free. It's very easy to use. So I'm gonna call this one actually Maria Luisa. No, why would I do that? It would be like a pink martini, wouldn't it? Save. So no, I'm not gonna great for now. Colors. So no, so I can do this. So the thing is, I don't know. It's probably, sorry, I might have to do it differently because it's not gonna let me save unless I subscribe. So I'm just gonna go to palette. No. Let me just go to the generator. I'm gonna open anyone. No, sorry. Open palette. Okay, any palette. Sorry, it's not behaving today. Here, look. Silly me. I should have just stayed here and gone to start the generator. Phew, here we are. Okay, so the cool thing is that if you just click on the space bar, this gives you a new palette, which I love. But if you've already got a color that you like, you can just go in here and simply paste it in. No, and I've lost it again. Sorry. So here it is. Here we go. Okay. So we've got the lovely pink that Maria Luisa like. I'm going to lock it. And here, this tool gives you so many options of getting different shades and different tints. A tint is lighter and a shade is darker. But what we need to check is also that it is accessible. And the thing is, it's not that helpful. How do we check that a color is accessible? It has to have enough contrast. There are the website, the WCAG, they're called WCAG. That they're simply guidelines that are that give you the parameters for accessibility for your website. There are different levels. We're not going to go deep into it, but with color, it's actually quite easy because there are a lot of tools that help you with that. This specific tool even gives you an idea of what it looks like, what the colors that you choose look like with different types. Sorry, it is a bit annoying if you don't have the pro version, but it's all right. We can live with it. It's for free. So it shows you how the colors look like. It's divided into the bit below, tells you what someone with protanopia sees. The pink is seen as green by someone with certain. So this is such a great tool to use. But the easiest tool to use is, there are so many. So contrast checker is another one. And you simply give it your background. So let's say that we want to use the pink for the background. And you can see that pink with black is absolutely fine. It passes. It's a pass. It's really great. But if you were to use white, for instance, that a lot of people like to use, it's a complete fail. You just cannot use that. So if you think, okay, but I really want to use it with white. Well, there is a way of doing it. You can just simply make that same pink darker. So if I now go out from the view and I go back here, you could make it darker even using this contrast checker. But if you want to use another tool, you could use this one by, for instance, one way that I love because it's just really safe is by using the HSP color format. This is a different way of looking at the color. It's exactly the same color, but it's broken down into hue, saturation, and brightness. Listen up, because this is the most useful piece of information about color that I still think I know. There's lots to know about color, but this is the most useful. Hue is another way of saying color. So if you have to imagine a wheel which is, so it's like 360 degrees. Sorry, I'm just a second. Please forgive me. Then the hue is the number that the position that the color has on the color wheel. So hue is another way of saying color. Saturation is the intensity of that color. I'm just going to have a sip. And brightness is the amount of light. So, strictly speaking, technically, if I lower the brightness, that's a bit too dark, I still have the same color because I have not touched the hue. Okay? So this is one way you could say, but it looks completely different. And the hex color, which is just another way of looking at the color, looks completely different. Okay, yeah, but technically this is the same color. Because the hue hasn't changed. So now you can go into this tool. Oops, sorry, it's just the way it doesn't want the hashtag. Otherwise, this is a different. This is the one. Okay, so you can see that still it isn't dark enough, but then I can go a bit darker and get the right color. So this is a great way of building a color palette around a color that you like. And you can then decide from here that you can use this tool to coolers as a way of picking other colors that go with it. Actually, incidentally, I think that this tangerine, this is a bit too bright, but it could work, and this could also work. So you could use this tool to create your palette. So this is the color. What about the typeface? Now, there's a free typeface marketplace that is Google, that is now great. I didn't used to recommend Google fonts because I found that they were samey, boring. They didn't look professional. They didn't have enough styles, and I'll explain in a second what style means. I wasn't a fan, and also they had other issues such as GDPR issues. Because Lisa, maybe you heard of this case. Have you heard of
Germany.
it? Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Haven't we all?
Yeah, because when you use a Google font using their API, that's just linking to it. So many ways of tracking. Basically, it's a violation of privacy. So Google will find in Germany, which means Europe, really, which means everywhere. Because how do you know that's even if you're based somewhere else,
You have no control over where your visitors come from.
Exactly. And that's why the European Accessibility Directive that's coming into full force on the 28th of June 2025 is important for everyone. So they reacted there correctly. So they made it possible to upload their fonts to your server so that this doesn't apply anymore. You don't violate people's privacy anymore. And also now there are so many beautiful typefaces on Google fonts, professional typefaces, so many typefaces that I loved that now are available on Google fonts. So I highly recommend it. Again, here you could be getting completely lost. We haven't gone into the various designer ways that there are of creating a design style, which is, for instance, creating a mood board. A mood board is collecting all the visual information, the visual stuff that you like from around the web, putting it together in a visual document, which could be a Pinterest board, for instance. You could do it like that, and gathering everything that you like and then starting to decide. We are doing a condensed version, obviously, because we've only got a limited time. But if we look at all the things that Maria Luisa shared with us, we know already that she probably would like a sans serif typeface for her menus and so on, and maybe a more graceful uh, serif typeface for other elements of the text. What is serif and what is sans serif? Do people know? That's really interesting to me. If people who are not designers necessarily know the difference between serif and sans serif. Maybe not, maybe yes, but I'll explain. So serif fonts are fonts like, for instance, Playfair Display is a serif font, and serifs are simply the little embellishments that letters have, like this, the little curly bits of the R, the little tips of the stroke, and so on. Now, there's a big argument between serif and sans serif, which is more legible. I find serif more legible, uh, although on the web, the tiny details may get lost. The thing is, there is no real answer. When you read sans serifs are more accessible, ignore that. That is simply not provable and simply not true. There are too many variables. What is fair, right for someone may not be right for someone else. There are lots of aspects to accessible typography that we can't even touch now. So this is a serif. A sans serif, for instance, if the way they've written is the way they've written this. As you can see, a sans serif doesn't have an embellishment. It's much simpler, neater kind of design. So having said this, we could, for instance, with Google Fonts, Playfair is a really nice typeface. What I look at is if it has enough styles, and you can see here the styles and the weights are important. The style is italic, for instance, is a style versus Roman, which is the normal, and whether it's got enough weights, so enough, and you can see that it has loads. So we're going to be very, very well looked after when we want to use weights or styles for differentiation. So what I normally do is, like, for instance, I would write quality vintage fashion. That's our title. And I'll start making my decisions from here. I think that looks great. Don't you? I think this could be really a good typeface. What do you think, Lisa?
I think this is such a neat way to tie everything together. Imagine that this was a little blurb in a Google Doc, and now you can see it as part of a website. So I know that we have Pernilla with us, who actually filled out the questionnaire. And I wanted to ask you, Pernilla, if you're still here, we hope you are. When you filled out the questionnaire, did you envision how this was going to evolve and come to this from that very, very first entry in that Google Doc?
It'd be so interesting to find out whether you found that, because to me it now seems so much easier to make that visual decision, to make that style decision, because we have such a much clearer idea of what Maria Luisa is like, and what she likes and what she doesn't like, and what fits her business. So now I would definitely not just think, okay, yeah, let's do this, play fair, because then I may
Right.
think, okay, it's okay, but it may be a little bit too classic. So maybe we want to look at something else that may fit her better. And I would start having fun with Google Fonts. And at this point, bearing in mind, considering that I've already put all the content into our Canva doc, I would start playing with that. But I would still build. This is something, because we're about to wrap up now. We're coming to the top of the hour. So we're about to, I would use the Canva document, which I'm going back to so that we remind ourselves. So I would use the Canva document to put all the content in. So quality vintage fashion. And then I would also use it to start styling, because I think that you can do it. You should be able to, yeah, look, I think that you can do it here. So if I Playfair Display, there you go. Canva obviously has another real advantage of Google Fonts is that they're everywhere. So you can already see what it's going to look like. But my main point that I want you to take away now is that please don't do it in WordPress. Do it here. There are so many reasons why you should do it here rather than WordPress. But the main one is that WordPress is going to distract you with all the million other things that you need to do technically. So don't get carried away with that. Make your decisions here. Choose something simple that will be easy to replicate in WordPress, but start putting the actual content in here and deciding on layout here and on style, and then go to WordPress. Would you agree?
I would totally agree. And we just got a response from Pernilla that no, she did not see it evolve this way. But we
Yeah.
hope that you can see it now. We hope that everything that we have done along the way has been meaningful and has led to narrowing the amount of decisions you have to make. Font libraries are infinite, color libraries even more so. And just that coolers palette that you were playing around with, I could spend hours in there and get so easily diverted from the main mission. This is to keep you on
Yeah.
track because, again, time is money. We want you to get online fast. We want to reduce your time to market. We want you to build your project in a reasonable time frame so you can start earning money off it or achieving your goals, whatever they may be.
Absolutely. It's the amount of wisdom that's coming from those words is huge. So yes, absolutely. And I've just noticed here that Canva, this is so clever. He just is asking you, do you want to change all of it? And you can change it with just one click and see what it looks like. I wouldn't recommend using Playfa Display for your text, but it's now changed everywhere. Isn't it great? It's just brilliant. And I think that if I do Command Z, no, that didn't work. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, if I just
Yes.
may address a final comment from Pernilla here. Yes, it is very interesting and it seems much easier than the WordPress templates. I could
Yes.
agree with that. And I am one of the biggest WordPress lovers you have out there. So I absolutely love the tool. And why I love it is because it has absolutely no limits to what you can build to it. But that is a challenge in itself because you are overloaded with choice. And once you have done this, once you know what you're trying to build, I will show you that WordPress is easy. It is, but you need to know what you want to achieve in WordPress so you don't get distracted by everything it has to offer. And I will also show why you should go for WordPress rather than other CMSs and what kind of control it gives you as a business owner. But that is for the next session.
That is definitely for the next session where we'll finally get into the WordPress dashboard. And it will be so much less overwhelming because we know all this and because we will know exactly what we're going to do. And I can't wait to get there. But because Lisa, I'm also, we met because of WordPress. So we are both huge WordPress fans. But I can tell you, I'm fairly technical. I'm quite good with WordPress. And yet, it's so easy to get lost and overwhelmed. And these are all the steps that if you take them, it's going to be, as Lisa was saying, so much easier for you. And it's going to get you where you want to be, which is successful with your business.
This is the difference between doing something on your own or hiring a professional. You are being guided by a true professional here. And this is what a professional agency would do for you in exchange for a lot of money if you were to hire one. This is literally the difference. It's the planning, it's the documentation, it's the structuring of things before you get into building. That is what separates a DIY project from a professional one. And yours will be a professional one.
I love it. I love it. That's exactly why we're here. And I completely agree. This is exactly the process. Well, not exactly. There's no such thing as an exact process in design, but it's an example of how a professional agency would do it for you. Absolutely. Great.
Right.
I think
So,
that's it.
having said this, I think we're ready to wrap up for today. And we really hope to see you guys again next time to see the full project come to fruition, to finally build the end result and do it in WordPress. See how WordPress is easy and how fast you can get your dream online. We will try to summarize all the cool tools that we've been using in this session as well and leave the link in the description. So also the link to the very first webinar of this series will be there, so you don't miss out on any content in this series. And having said that, thank you, Piccia, for taking your time doing this with us. This is amazing to have you here, and thank you so much for your knowledge and guidance.
It was such a pleasure as usual. And please let us know if you use this process and what you think. We'd love to hear from you next time. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa, so much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.